says we cannot know a thing in itself. We don't really know what is what. From its appearance says we deem it complete. We can only follow our gut. La 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 dee dee da. La la dee dee da da dum.
Hi, I'm Michael Leverts, and this is Fit to be Read. Can you believe I'm at a loss for words? Neither can I. Let's be real. The very Fit to be Read, The Thing Itself by Adam Roberts, at times flies right over my head, but I caught enough of it to celebrate it, as well as spend the next few weeks, likely, thinking deeply about it and trying to piece it all together. I read The Thing Itself and another Roberts novel, Beta, simultaneously in October, giving me a great sense of Roberts' writing style, his talent, range, and uniqueness. I recommend The Thing Itself for those fascinated by Fermi paradox and first contact themes. I recommend it for its deep philosophical roots. While I especially recommend it for those curious about Immanuel Kant, it's a solid philosophical science fiction novel that will appeal to any reader that is captivated by an in-depth examination of reality. I recommend The Thing Itself for fans of William Gibson's Neuromancer. The obvious link to that novel is the mysterious, powerful, and ambiguous AI elements, and the less precise link is the general feel of how the confusing world presented sort of envelops you or washes over you, never allowing you to get a solid footing, while at the same time splashing you with an occasional fascinating and vivid moment. Finally, I recommend it for an interesting take on timelines and an examination of how we view or perceive, navigate, and endure time and space. As with each review on this channel, the episode will begin with a spoiler-free review to introduce you to the novel. Following the summary, I'll announce a 5 likes and 5 dislikes segment, still spoiler-free, to share some additional thoughts about moments that stood out. If there are any specific spoilerly items, I'll save those for the very end, and I'll give you a fair warning. Engage with me in the comments section and let me know if you've read this novel, or if based on the spoiler-free introduction, you think you might pick it up and give it a go. Especially comment if you've read this, you completely understood it, and you want to volunteer to explain to me the parts that went over my head. Published in 2015, The Thing Itself examines the Fermi paradox and first contact, the existence of time and space, and Immanuel Kant's philosophy of transcendental idealism. The novel begins in the Arctic North. Scientists Charles Gardner and Roy Curtius are attempting to answer the Fermi paradox. The idea that the size of the universe and potential existence of worlds capable of hosting evolved life suggests alien life is likely is contradicted by the fact that we have not found or met alien life or even signs of existence of it. The first chapter of the book will draw you in immediately. The character of Roy Curtius is purposely ambiguous at first, as is the relationship between the two men. These two men and their relationship to the thing itself, and I'll explain to the best of my ability what that is in just a moment, represent the main plot of the story. This storyline will deliver mystery, fear, betrayal, animosity, chases, pain and agony, incarceration, near-death experience, and an institute that is shady AF. The Thing Itself refers to Immanuel Kant's theory of transcendental realism that I mentioned earlier. In a nutshell, and this nut is about as much as I can really give you, Kant theorized that a thing, what it looks like, its shape, color, etc., the time in which it exists and the space it occupies, cannot be truly known to us because our perception of the thing is manifest through our senses. We are limited. We cannot truly know the thing itself. Do time and space even exist? Or, again, are these simply a design of our making? There is one info-dumping moment in the novel that explores Kant more comprehensively. I use info-dump as a positive statement, as it is very welcomed. Roberts spends the better part of the novel illustrating the idea to us, and of course applies it to answering the Fermi paradox. Roy and Charles make an interesting foil to one another, as Roy is a true fan of Kant's work, while Charles is more enamored by the spectacle of science fiction, especially the works of Frank Herbert and H.G. Wells. Charles has more of a blue-collar sensibility and is tuned into the world around him, while Roy is more of a loner and, at least early on, is very introverted and maybe even psychopathic. Who knows, maybe scientist, disconnection from society, and psychopathic are the ingredients for unlocking Kant and applying it to manipulating reality. Imagine what Roy could accomplish if he could manipulate time and space, even just a little bit. Whether he can or not are details best left for the reading experience. The pacing of the story is very strong while main character Charles is the focus. Much of the story finds Charles moving toward or running from someone and or something or somewhere. His journey includes experiences with the secretive and manipulative institution that I mentioned and is impacted greatly by their control and their actions and directly by the work that they're doing with AI and research into Kant's theories. There are a few chapters that either distract from or supplement the story, depending on how you read and receive them. Some are more entertaining than others. Other characters are introduced, and we spend some time in the past and some time in the future. In some of these chapters is where the story at times drifted over my head, and in others it made the already good story even more captivating. These chapters introduce a number of interesting themes and concepts. Among those are romance and sexuality, issues of consent and abuse, manipulation of time and space, and even more layers of context to the central theory surrounding the thing in itself. This episode will now introduce, still spoiler free, my 5 likes and 5 dislikes for Adam Roberts' Fit to be Read, The Thing Itself. Like number 1, how angry the author could make me over a character not getting a letter. I love when a book can get me so emotionally charged up. It also served to hook me into the novel right from the get-go. Like number 2, really cool use of pronouns late in the novel, very lightly touching on gender themes, provoking the reader to question a lot, even though very little is presented. It feels superficial to say that reading the created pronouns was fun because they sounded good, though what I liked most was that the pseudo-gender link to the pronouns was introduced in such a way that the readers led to make certain assumptions, which could even be a shame on you for jumping to conclusions type of moment. Very interesting. Dislike number 1, there were a few spots where I perceived there to be continuity errors with pronouns. C sometimes was followed with her, taking me out of the more interesting gender examination. This is the spot of the episode where I can no longer guarantee spoiler free, so stay on or get off as the remaining likes and dislikes may contain spoilers. Dislike number 2, one of the sort of Kantian aha moments is meant to be the metaphor of the pool balls and how the balls could be different colors and it wouldn't matter as long as mass and speed were constant. It works of course as a metaphor, but as presented, I feel we're meant to react with a, oh, I never thought of it that way attitude. Regarding perception, if that was the intention, it just didn't land that way for me. Then again, it maybe was just simply that it was a metaphor and not pretending to be anything else. Dislike number 3, I have to double down on this one. The more I think about it, Charles is a bright guy, and hold on a second, are we just gonna accept that he doesn't get it and he needs this explanation, or that Kaz thinks that he needs that part explained? Dislike number 4, sticking with all things Kantian, Kaz at one point makes an offhand remark along the lines of, philosophers have been debating forever what Kant meant by this. I take it to mean. The comment is so unchallenged, I'm not going to spend a lot of time deconstructing why that is flippant and it feels superficial, other than to point out that it seems to gloss over any mention of Kaz's legitimacy to make such a statement. Yes, Kaz is a professor, but that still doesn't give me the buy-in that I needed at that moment. Like number 3, sticking with Kaz again here, when she's speaking about modalities and possibility being the other half of impossibility, I now feel like I'm with somebody who's teaching me a master class, where the metaphors on quality and relation felt as if they were being presented in an undergrad philosophy class, the discussion on modalities felt entirely different and worthy of a conversation between two scientists. I of course suggest all of this with an understanding that this is all coming fittingly from my perception of how these two characters relate. Like number 4, Attar's story evokes Asimov End of Eternity vibes in that there's a stretch of future time not ventured into or past, and frankly, time travel in general is introduced in a very cool way. Like number 5, time travelers ghosting, becoming more transparent each time that they travel is handled brilliantly. I especially admired the thought that Roberts put into it. When Attar becomes too translucent and ghostly to touch, he and Adonais blow air onto each other's naked bodies, seemingly the only intimacy left that is available to them. I would have liked to have had a full story around Adonais, Attar, and the Time War. It really could have been its own novel. Dislike number 5, I say this mostly in jest, I hate that I can't pin down what the heck was going on in the Lunita storyline. It just escapes me. Damn my simple mind. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read.